Good morning and welcome, Mr. Witness. Please sit down. Mr. Witness, may I remind you that you are still under oath. Madam Chair, over to you for the proceedings.
Good morning, Mr. Tamura. Welcome back. I will now hand you over to Council to continue from where we stopped yesterday. Just to inform the Commission that the Director General will be joining us later in the afternoon.
Good morning, sir. It is good to have you again before the Commission. Just to proceed from where we stopped yesterday, you were asked to, in fact, you reminded the Commission that there is an outstanding compliance report with respect to Banjul. Were you able to have it?
Yes, sir, it's with me.
Yes. May I have the clerk of the Commission to... Honorable Commissioners, I apply to tender the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2021 with respect to Banjul City Council dated the 10th day of July 2023 in evidence as an exhibit. It is being signed by Pa Modu Ann for the Director General of GPPA. Honorable Registrar, can you pass it to the Commissioners?
The Gambia Public Procurement Authority compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2021, dated the 10th of July 2023, with reference number GPPA/BCC/Part 15, CAR volume 21/17/56, signed by Pamudu Ann for the Director General and copied to the Lord Mayor of Banjul City Council, is hereby admitted in evidence and marked as LGC/GPPA/BCC/004.
Ask the Commission, please. Yes. Can we now move on to the other area councils you have conducted compliance review? Do you have the ones for KMC?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please, can you hand them over to the registrar? How many did you conduct with respect to KMC? How many reviews?
Three, sir.
Between, since when, which year did you start with the review, and what is the last year with respect to the review?
I have here with me 2019 review, 2020, and 2021.
Thank you very much. May we have... Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Commissioners, I apply to tender the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2021, 31st December 2019, and 31st December 2020 with respect to Kanifing Municipal Council, signed by the Director General of GPPA. The one with respect to 2019 is dated the 15th of February 2021. The one with respect to 2020 is dated the 11th day of November 2022. And the compliance review for the year ended 2021 is dated 11th November 2022 in evidence as an exhibit. May we have them be admitted as a bundle?
The compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2029, conducted by the Gambia Public Procurement Authority, dated the 15th of February 2021, with reference number GPPA/KMC/part 14/18/SN, signed by Sena Bunyang on behalf of the Director General. With the compliance review for the year ended 31st of December 2020, dated the 11th of November 2021, with reference number GPPA/KMC/car volume 21, part 15/17/15, signed by Aisatubari on behalf of the Director General. And the compliance review for the year ended 31st of December 2021, dated the 11th of November 2022, with reference number GPPA/KMC/CAR volume 21, part 15/17/19, signed by Mamadou K. Jallo for the Director General, are hereby admitted in evidence in bundle they are hereby admitted in a bundle in evidence and marked as LGC/GPPA/KMC/005.
As the Commission pleases. Yes, can you now please advise us on the other area councils that you have conducted the review? Do you have the ones for Birkama?
Yes, we have reports for all the area councils.
Yes, can you give us the one for Birkama?
For Birkama Area Council, we have the one for 2020 and 2021. The one for 2019 should be ready by the end of the day.
By?
Before the end of the day.
Very well. Can we have the two compliance reviews for Birkama? Madam Chairperson, Honorable Commissioners, I apply to tender the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2020 and 31st December 2021 for Birkama Area Council. The compliance review for December 2020 is dated the 27th of September 2022, and the compliance review for the year ended December 2021 is dated 12th December 2022, both signed by the Director General. I apply to tender them in evidence as an exhibit in a bundle.
The compliance report, the compliance review for the year ended 31st of December 2021, conducted by the Gambia Public Procurement Authority, dated the 12th of December 2022, with reference number GPPA/BAC/CAR/volume 21/BK, signed by Burang Konjira for Director General, and the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2020, dated the 27th of September 2022, with reference number GPPA/BAC/CAR/volume 21, part 15/17/32/JI. Can I please clarify from Mr. Tambura whether this is JI or JJ, the one in bracket?
Yes, it should be JJ. Okay. I think it's Jennifer Jallo.
Okay. The compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2020, dated the 27th of September 2022, with reference number GPPA/BAC/CAR/volume 23, part 15/17/32, in brackets JJ, and signed by Jennifer Jallo for Director General, are hereby admitted in bundle in evidence and marked as LGC/GPPA/BAC/006.
Ask the Commission, please.
Yes, Council.
Please take us to the next one.
I have Basse here with me.
Yes, please hand it over to the Honorable Registrar. How many reports do you have for Basse?
Sorry, Mr. Tamura, before you proceed, you said there is 2019 report for Brikama Area Council.
Yes.
Yes. Can you avail us that one too?
Yes, it should be ready before the end of the day. So hopefully tomorrow you should get it by tomorrow, inshallah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, how many reports do you have for Basse?
For Basse area councils, we have the report for 2018. We have the report also for 2021 and the report for 2022 plus 2020. 4 reports.
Very well. Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Commissioners, we apply to tender 4 procurement review reports. The first one is for the year ended 31st December 2018, dated the 10th day of January 2020, signed by Buba Jata for the Director General. The second report is for the year ended 31st December 2019, dated the 20th January 2021, signed by Buba Jata for the Director General of GPPA. We also have the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2022, dated the 29th of May 2023, signed by Pamodu An for the DG GPPA. And the last one is the review for the year ended 31st December 2020 to 2021, dated the 20th of October 2022, signed by one Janaba Jallo for the Director General GPPA. We apply to tender them in evidence as a bundle.
The following compliance review for the, from the Gambia Public Procurement Authority, which are as follows, are to be admitted in the bundle. They are compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2018, dated the 10th of January 2020, with reference number GPPA/BAC/CAR/volume 10/17/90, signed by Buba Jata on behalf of the Director General, and the compliance report, compliance/CAR/volume 10/17/90, signed by Buba Jata on behalf of the Director General, and the compliance report, compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2019, dated the 28th of January 2021, with reference number GPPA/BAC/CAR/volume 10/19/99, signed by Buba Jata for Director General, and compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2020 to 2021, dated the 28th of October 2022, with reference number GPPA/BSAC/CAR/volume 24 part 15/17/16, in brackets JJ, signed by Jena Bajalo on behalf of the Director General, and the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2022, dated the 29th of May 2023, with reference number GPPA/BSAC/CAR/volume 24 part 15/17/56, signed by Pamodu Ann for Director General. This compliance review reports are hereby admitted in a bundle and marked as LGC/GPPA/BAC/006.
As the Commission places. Can we now have the next batch of procurement reviews?
Yes. Next we have Kerewan Area Council for 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022.
2019, 2021, and 2022.
2019, 2020, 21, and 22.
4?
It's 3. 2 of them is
joint.
It's joint for 2020 and 2021.
Yes. Very well. Can we, when they raise files, you can hand over to him. Madam Chairperson, Honorable Commissioners, I will apply to tender the compliance review reports as highlighted by the witness. The first one being the review for the year ended 31st December 2019, dated the 10th December 2020. It's been signed by the Director General, Mamadou K. Jallo. The second one, or report, is for the year ended 31st December 2020 and 2021, dated the 22nd day of February 2023, signed by Barabos Per Mendy, Director General, for the Director General. And the last one is the compliance review for year ended 31st December 2022 and dated the 15th March 2023. The document has been signed by Burang Kongira for the Director General in evidence as an exhibit.
Mr. Tamura, the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2019 and dated the 10th of December 2020 is, it doesn't seem to be an original copy. Please, Registrar, can you show him this document?
It happens to be black pen.
Yes, Chair. It is not an original copy.
Yes. Can you tell us why it was the original copy?
If the preference
The original copy.
Okay. We'll
The council will you can take the copy to the council and he can put forward to you questions of undertaking to bring the original so that we can admit them.
All right.
If they, when can you produce the original?
Latest on Thursday.
Thursday.
Then let me have it, Registrar. The compliance review for the year ended 31st of December 2019, dated the 10th of December 2020, with reference number GPPA/KAC/CAR, volume 23, part 14/20, signed by Momodu K. Jallo for Director General, and the compliance review for the year ended 31st of December 2020 and 2021, dated the 22nd of February 2023, with reference number GPPA/KAC/CAR/, volume 21, part 14/17/52, signed by Barabos Pierre Mendy for Director General, and the compliance review for the year ended 31st of December 2022, dated the 15th of March 2023, with reference number GPPA/KAC/CAR/, volume 21, part 14, in brackets BK, signed by Burang Kongira for Director General. They are all hereby admitted in bundle in evidence and marked as LGC/KAC/ let me take that again. They are hereby admitted in evidence in bundle and marked as LGC/GPPA/KAC/008.
As the Commission places. Now, what other reports do you have with you?
Next is Mansa Congo Area Council. We have reports for 2019, 2020-21 joint.
2019?
Yes.
2020?
2020 and 21 joint report.
Okay. Yes.
Then 2022.
Please hand them over to the Registrar of the Commission. Madam Chairperson, Honorable Commissioners, I apply to tender the compliance review reports. The first report is for the year ended 31st December 2019, dated the 22nd day of April 2021, signed by one Pa Muru An for the Director General. The second one is for the year ended, or the years ended 31st December 2020 and 2021, dated the 24th of August 2022, signed by Sira Bojang for the Director General. And the last report is for the year ended 31st December 2022, dated the March 2023, signed by Brabos Per Mendy for the Director General, in evidence as an exhibit.
The compliance report, the compliance review for the year ended reference number GPPA/MKAC/Part 13 CAR volume 21/17/20, signed by Mamadou Anne for Director General. and compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2020 and 2021, dated the 24th of August 2022, with reference number GPPA/MKAC/PAR Part 13, CAR Volume 21/17/20, and the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2022 and dated 14th March 2023, with reference number GPPA/MKAC/Part 13/CAR/Volume 21/17, and signed by Barabos Permendi for Director General, are all admitted in the bundle and marked as LGC/GPPA/MKAC/009.
As the Commission places. Yes. What other reviews do you have with you?
Yes, Council. The next is Janjambure Area Council. I have their reports for 2019.
For 2019 for Janjambure, yes?
Yes, and 2020 and 21 joint.
All right.
And finally, 2022.
Please hand them over to the registrar. Madam Chairperson, Honorable Commissioners, I apply to tender the compliance review reports for Janjanbureh Area Council. The first being for the year ended January 2019 to 31st December 2019. The report is dated 19th November 2021 and signed by one Babukar Seka for the Director General. The second report, the same area council, is for the year ended 31st December 2020 and 2021. It is dated the 27th day of July 2022. The report is signed by one Pa Modu An for the Director General. The last report is for the year ended 31st December 2022, dated the 18th day of April 2023, signed by one Mohammed Su Sawane for the Director General, all in evidence as an exhibit.
review for the year ended 1st January 2019 to 31st of December, dated the 19th of November 2021, signed on behalf of the Director General by Babukar Seka, with reference number GPPA/JAC/part 14/18 in brackets BS. The compliance review for the year ended 31st of December 2020 and 2021, dated the 27th of July 2022, with reference number GPPA/JAC/CAR/volume 21, part 14/17/49, signed by Pamudu Ann on behalf of the Director General, and the
Madam Chairperson, Honorable Commissioners, I apply to tender the complaint report for 1st January 2020 to 31st December 2020 and 1st January 2021 to 31st December 2021. It is dated the 30th day of March 2022. The report is signed by one Babukar Seka for the Director General of GPPA. The second report is for the year ended 1st January to 31st December 2022. The report is dated the 24th of August 2022 and it is signed by one Lamin F.S. Sambu for the Director General GPPA, in evidence as an exhibit.
this is which. The compliance review for the year ended 1st January to 31st of December 2020 to 31st of December 20. Let me take that one again. The compliance review for the year ended 1st January 2020 to 31st of December 2020 and 1st January 2021 to 31st of December 2021, dated the 30th of March 2022, signed by Babukar Seka for Director General, and the compliance review for the year ended 1st January to 31st of December 2022, dated the 24th of August 2022, 22 with reference number GPPA/KSC/part 13/CAR/volume 21/17/21, signed by Lamin F.S. Sambu for Director General, are hereby admitted in bundle in evidence and marked as LGC/GPPA/KAC/011.
Ask the Commission, please. Now, yes, please proceed.
Okay. For the Commission to have a feeling and a better understanding of the scores,
yes,
how the scores are arrived at, I still want to tender the compliance and performance template.
You have a compliance and performance template,
Yes.
right?
That dictates the scoring. How do we arrive at our scorings and our compliance ranges?
Can I have a look at the sample? So this is what you use in relation to awarding specific scores to reviews that have been conducted?
Exactly so.
Do you have another copy there? This one seems to be in its original form. Can I show it to the commissioners and tender it?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairperson, honorable commissioners, I elected by the witness. It is dated the 10th day of the 7th month of the year 2023. Probably it will help a lot in giving us a better understanding as to how they conduct their compliance. Do you currently have an extra copy of this? Very well. The
10th of July. Just find out, Mr. Tambura, is this signed by you? Okay. So, parenga, when you are ready. The GPPA Compliance and Performance Rating and Scoring Template, dated the 10th of July 2023 and signed by Mr. Tambura, is hereby admitted in evidence and marked as LGC/GPPA/CPRST/012.
Ask the Commission, please. Mr. Tambura, can you kindly hand me over the copy of the sampling? So now can we discuss some few key areas, Mr. Tambora? Are you with me? Yes. Very well. Please guide us in relation to the reports that you prepare, other reports that you probably have done, because we have also received some files from your office as well. So please run us through the differences between the compliance review that you conduct periodically and the compliance files that you have sent to us.
Thank you, Council. Yesterday in my deliberation, I made to some extent references to the two categories. We have what we call the prior review. We also have what we call the post-review. Those are the procurement transactions that needs prior approval at every stage of the procurement process. The procurement whose values starts from $1 million and above. That is the ideal situation. However, because of some exception, sometimes prior approval are still submitted to our office, whose value can be less than $1 million. Let me just give a simple example.
Yes, please give us an example of those situations.
Let's say, for example, we all understand the threshold for single source is 20,000 for goods and services. But if a particular institution, a particular area councils want to still undertake a procurement method by the use of single source, but the amount involved, let's say, is 100,000, I think it is very clear that the amount involved now is above the threshold for single source.
Yes.
But they still want to adopt single source. Hopefully, because it has satisfied all the conditions for the use of single source different from the threshold.
What are these other possible conditions that they may comply with?
Yes, the other conditions for the use of single source different from the threshold, I mentioned them yesterday, but let me just reiterate.
Yes.
I said about urgency could be a possible condition. Emergency could be a possible condition. Compatibility or standardization could be a possible condition. Additional works could be a condition. And the purchase for put across is you can still submit to GPP and above. But because of the fact that there are exceptions in every rule, that's why there is a possibility for submission for prior review to the authority whose value are below $1 million.
Yes. So
now we have the prior review and the post review, just to try to answer your question further.
Yes.
The reports that I have just submitted, what is post review? As the name implies, normally they are the review conducted, the compliance reviews we conduct on institutions, including area councils, after the completion of the whole process, after the end of the fiscal year. Let's say for 2020, at the end of all their procurement transactions, the report generated are the post review. One thing is very important here. Most of the thresholds, the amount involved in this particular post review, most of them are below 500,000. If not all, but most of them are below 500,000. Why? Because anything above 500,000, such institutions are expected to submit it to GBPA. So it means already we have dealt with those ones from A to Z to completion. And probably assurance we are giving, either approval or otherwise. So therefore, those that we are not submitted to the authority, the concentration will be on those ones. Notwithstanding, we can also have some due diligence on those that we have already approved, because sometimes we may want to know the stages, the progress, etc., etc.
So if I hear you well, basically there is no, because of the systems in place, with respect to the thresholds of the various institutions wherein you have a procurement officer or special procurement unit and you have a contracts committee. Ideally you should. So therefore it is expected that once you have this effective system, then business can go on as usual when they follow this internal internal structure as outlined by the Act and the regulation, so that your job now as a regulatory authority would be just to, at the end of the year, to come and review whether they were in compliance with the regulations and the Act.
Exactly so.
Yes.
So to some extent, it's very similar with what the external audit do.
Yes.
Because they do it after the end of the year.
So now, how do you conduct your compliance review at the end of the year? Can you tell us how you conduct this review?
The reviews are conducted as per guidelines. The fundamental guidelines are the Public Procurement Act, the Public Procurement Regulation. These are the fundamental guidelines. However, may I hasten to add that in a compliance review setup, it may not technically be a procurement audit. A procurement audit could be more detailed than a compliance audit, because with compliance audits, we are looking at the nitty-gritties, we are looking at institutional framework, we are looking at the basic procedures. So that's why this template was developed. If you look at the template I have just shared,
yes,
the compliance template, most of the variables, the performance variable, are derived from either the Act or from the regulation. Most of the performance variables are either derived from the Act and from the regulation. And when we go to audit, these are the things we really look at as a guide. It doesn't mean we cannot go outside the guide. A guide is a guide, but because of the nature of procurement, very dynamic in nature, very complex in nature, sometimes you have to think outside the box.
Aspect of procurement, which is procurement audit. Are you telling us, or are you telling the Commission, that there is also a procedure called a procurement audit?
Basically, it's about terminology.
Yes.
It's about terminology. What we are doing here, as I told you, basically it's about compliance audit. Because what we are auditing is the processes and the institutional framework. The processes are only called processes because of the procurement. So in essence, it means within compliance audit, you must encounter procurement issues, and within procurement audit, you can also encounter compliance issues.
Now, what I want to have a very clear understanding here is whether there is a process called compliance review and then a separate process called procurement audit. Does that exist?
Yes, these two processes exist.
Now, but the ones we have and we're dealing with today is compliance review. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Good. So now tell us, before we move to discuss, let's say, a particular area council in relation to their procurement compliance review, which will probably be Banjul City Council. But I want you to tell us generally, when your office embarks on a compliance review examination or process, how do you conduct this process?
To be very basic, the procedures are after the development of a compliance audit plan. Engagement letters are written to the various institutions to alert them that they are scheduled for compliance audit. They are given dates, the team is identified, etc. And upon arrival, the head of the institution, most of the time, in the area of area councils, the CEOs, the head of the procurement unit, and his contracts committees are met in our entrance meeting, discuss the scope of the audit, the objective are discussed. These are basically the team of reviewers. So this team goes into this file to really look into the processes now and procedures of procurement. The ideal situation is all these files, as per the laws, should be categorized into procurement methods. All procurement methods that were single source should be in one file. All procurement methods that were under RFQ, request for quotation, in one file, as per procurement method. This makes the auditing easy, tracing of files, especially missing files, easy, etc., etc. If that is done, then the audit team proper review these files, depending on the sampling, whether random sampling or we want to audit everything, all acceptable. We review this file and make our observations. But the observation, as I said earlier, are based on the provisions of the Act and the regulation to see whether there are processes, procurement procedures, we are in tandem, in compliance with the applicable legislation. In this case, it's the Act and the regulation. To see the processes from the start to finish, whether they set.
Now, who appoints the procurement officers in these institutions? Are they appointed or appointed by the local government area council, or they are appointed in relation to this specific issue, or are they usually appointed by your office?
As far as I know, GPPA is not involved in the appointment of any procurement officer. At central government, we have what we call the Directorate of Procurement, in other words, the procurement cadre. They are responsible in, of course, coordination, in consultation with PSC, PMO, on the appointment of procurement officers at central government level. With parastatals, of course, the parastatals, the boards, the heads of the institution are responsible. At area council level, my understanding is the agency, whether the local government commission, responsible for the appointment of procurement officers, of course, in consultation with the CEOs.
Does your office have any oversight function in relation to the personnel appointed as a procurement officer?
Our office has no oversight, direct oversight function in their appointments, movement, promotion, except in our official dealings, yes, as contact persons at institutional level.
Thank you. Now, can we discuss the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2019, Banjul, and probably together with 2020? I think you have the one for 2021, is that correct? That is the one you just submitted to the Commission.
I have the 2019 here with me.
Do you have the 2020 with you? I want us to see whether we can discuss them jointly, possibly. Yes, if the need arises. Because I realize some things are very much similar in relation to your findings throughout the years from 2019 to 2021. Am I correct?
Yes, sometimes we have a lot of similarities.
Yes.
Because most of the time we have the same people, the same transaction, the system, the traditional system sometimes continue to manifest itself in subsequent years.
Yes. So please, I refer you to the 2019. Please get us to 2019.
Yes, the Banjul City Council, the compliance review for the year ended 31st December 2019.
Yes. Now, in summary, before we proceed to the details, what would you say were the key concerns of during the process of your review when it comes to Banjul City Council?
During the year under review, it was very obvious that there wasn't any procurement officer at the Banjul City Council. And this has a trickle-down impact. The laws require that the procurement officer is in charge for the conduct of procurement. So if there is no procurement officer, it means those who were in charge of procurement were not the bona fide personnel entrusted with the responsibility.
Yes. If you turn to page 6 of 2019, you see that the staff directly involved in the review process, the table, do you see that?
Yes.
You have one Aidan Jai, acting procurement officer,
Okay.
one Dado Jallo, acting procurement officer, and Abdullah Kaur, audit manager.
Yes.
Are you saying these ones that you find on the ground that they were in an acting capacity were not probably substantively occupying the office of the procurement?
The law requires that procurement officers who are charged with the responsibility to conduct procurement should be formally appointed. Evidence of that should be produced, that these are the officials appointed to conduct procurement on behalf of the council. That evidence wasn't presented to the team of reviewers.
All right.
Above all, let's say, for example, Abdullah Kaur, an audit manager conducting procurement, then who audits the procurement he has conducted?
Please come again.
I mean, for example, in the case of Abdullah Kaur,
Yes.
in his designation it's indicated that he's the audit manager.
Yes.
And procurement is a process. And at every stage, at every crucial stage, we expect the auditor to cross-check. So if the auditor himself is the one who conducts the procurement, the question is who audits the procurement then?
So you are saying it is not normal to have the audit manager who is supposed to supervise or probably serve as a check and balance to the procurement team.
Yes.
It's not normal for the same person to be part of the same procurement team that he is supposed to oversee.
It's not normal because the processes could be compromised and there is potential conflict of interest.
Please explain how there can be a conflict of interest in relation to having the audit manager being present.
Basically, it's your rules as an auditor. If your role as an auditor is to audit transactions, how can you audit a transaction that you have conducted yourself? In other words, how can you audit yourself?
Thank you. Now we move back to page 5. The names of those who are in attendance in the entry meeting. Please tell us the names that you have.
The names here, I have Mr. Mustafa Bachili, the CEO, Mr. Drame, that's the manager. These were the officials at BCCN.
Yes.
Then our team, Mrs. Jamila Odum, the senior officer, she led this compliance review, and Ms. Sinabu Nyang.
So who was the account? It doesn't appear that the accounting officer was present.
At the entrance meeting, he was present. Just like I said earlier, upon arrival, we organized a kind of a 5-10 minute entrance meeting with the CEO and his team to actually communicate our purpose. But this thing was actually done in advance in writing. But as a matter of courtesy, these are done, and that's the entrance meeting.
Do you know who was the accounting officer at the time in 2019?
Yes, as per our record here is Mustafa Bachili, the CEO.
Officer?
No, when accounting officer, that's a procurement term.
Okay.
It means the administrative heads of the institution.
Not necessarily accounting as we know it.
Yes,
not necessarily, yes.
Not necessarily the accountant, no.
Okay.
This is the accounting officer.
It
That's
is good
the
to have it
administrative head
clarified.
of the institution, yeah.
Now, page 6, you have highlighted that the total procurement. Please proceed.
We are in receipt of files from your office that dealt with tenders. you understand, dealing with the different forms of procurement methods. Now, what I want to find out is that where a tender is done and there is no contract signed, what is the effect?
Okay, procurement is a process. If a tender is done, that is probably the process has taken place, it has been completed, but contract not yet signed. Simply it means the procurement is not effective. However, it depends on the stage at which it comes, because we have what we call cancellation before bid opening and cancellation after bid opening. So I don't know at what stage is this particular tender.
Let him comment.
So,
yes, having referred to some of the files, having reviewed some of the files, we have noted that, let me give a particular reference. For instance, the BCC's 2/18, there was a restricted tender for the hire purchase of a station wagon for the mayor in Banjul, which was for an estimated value of 3 million. And 4.4 million thousand, and there was a station wagon was delivered, and because what it,
I got you loud and clear, but can you just please help me with the TR number? I'm interested in the TR number.
It's BCC 2/18. It was a restricted tender for a mayoral vehicle, one station wagon. It indicated that it should be on hire purchase. Estimated value is 3 million. And what we have seen in the file was only Form 012 and Form 100. And then an award to CFRO 4,025,000, which has been indicated that it was subject to further negotiation. And a final cost was arrived at 3,450,000. And there was no set for that transaction.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. As per our records, we have thank you, Chair. As per our record, we have the procurement of course, a station wagon by BCC, but this one was in 2018. TR number was TR218. This transaction was initially to our office for consideration. We did not hear from BCC. In other words, it means the initial submission was submitted to GPPA for our consideration. And the initial submission normally is to surface for two important things. One, approval of the procurement method. And in this case was a receipt tender, which is of course an ideal situation for the procurement of vehicle with this particular threshold. Second is approval of the bidding document, solicitation documents. The fact that we have it in our records here, it means it was initially submitted. After, our records indicate 0.
Okay, sorry, your digit just arrived. The secretary would announce him and then. Thank you. We'll see.
Good afternoon, DG.
Good afternoon.
Welcome back to this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils for a continuation of our yesterday's proceedings.
Thank you.
May I remind you that you are still under oath.
Yes.
Thank you. Over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tamura. Can you proceed?
Thank you, Chair. As I said earlier, as per our records here, the indications are there was an initial submission from BCC for the proclamation wagon. Yeah. The submission suggests two things: for approval of the procurement method and approval of the bidding document. Normally we approve these things because just to ensure the ground is level for everybody to participate. So, but thereafter, we did not receive any communication from BCC.
Okay. During the course of your compliance, you come across any of this being otherwise?
This was for 2018. I'm not sure whether the report I presented here includes 2018 for BCC. However, issues like this, as I told you earlier, the concentration for compliance review is 500,000 and below. But sometimes we are interested because these things are red flag in procurement, red flag. Compliance review involved will normally pursue it. However, as per our record, as we speak, after this initial submission, no communication from. A look into the files that we submitted will definitely give us a better understanding exactly as to what has actually happened. Okay, we'll get back to that point. Council, can you proceed, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So before we move to the specific procurement activities that have been carried out in the year 2019 by or within Banjul City Council. Page 6, you have prepared a table that overlapped to page 7 in relation to the various procurement or proceedings and their values for the year ended 31st December 2019. If you turn to page 7, you will see for restricted tendering, only one transaction at the value of $3,450,000 was being transacted in that year. Do you see that? And with respect to single sourcing, there were 266 actions at the value of $3,256,459. And for request for quotation, there were 51 transactions, and the value of $482,526, wherein at some point commented that later that in fact some of the procurement methods were not being complied with. What can you tell us regarding the huge number of single sourcing that has happened in BCC?
Okay, the table here, of course, is a summary.
Yes.
Of all that has happened within BCC in terms of procurement under the post-review threshold. Chair, that this particular transaction, the vehicle we talked about, because we have here restricted tender.
Yes.
The amount involved is 3.4 million. So this must have been what triggered us to really look into. Probably that's why it appeared on the table here, because this was a compliance review report. To your question, the number of single source. The number here is about the total transaction in numbers, 1, 2, etc. It means during the year under review, BCC conducted 266 single source transactions. 266 single source transactions, and the value attached to the single source transaction is 3.2 million. the possibility here. But if you go further to the compliance review report, violations in this report should highlight that. However, I don't want to preempt, because the single source transactions are also acceptable procurement methods. It's very possible because of this threshold involved, because you can have anything below 20,000, you can conduct single source. So if a person has been occurring different, the amount involved is less than 20 million. So the chances of adopting single source are high. Yes. So apart from that, the other methods is the restricted tender, which was only one. Hopefully, the station wagon, Chia referred to, and the request for quotation, of course, 51 transactions. In total, 118 transactions for the year under review.
Yes, very well. So the specific procurement with respect to single sourcing. Now, on page 2, you have discussed the non-compliant practices of the accounting officer. You've told us that here represents the person in the name of Mustafa Bachili, who acts as the CEO. Is that correct?
Yes, the accounting officer is the administrative head of the...
Yes. So, what were the key highlights in relation to the non-compliance practices by the accounting officer, Mustafa Bachili?
The report is in such a way, sometimes we have that the accounting officer is personally responsible.
Yes.
Sometimes we also have issues where the contracts committee is collectively responsible. So in this case, for example, blood point 2 under the non-compliance,
yes,
the accounting officer did not appoint members of the inspection and acceptance committee. The law requires that as the accounting officer, you need an examination committee. So he failed to appoint this committee. Also, in some of their transactions, documentation in terms of our requisite GPPA forms were not attached. And that's volumes. Because yesterday I said here the forms are designed in such a way it tries to address the fundamental principle of procurement. Once you administer the form, either directly or indirectly, you are trying to be up with the fundamental principle of procurement. Yes, so the fact that the forms are not attached was a cause for concern as far as we are concerned.
Just to make us understand this much better, you are telling, in other words, you are telling the Commission that compliance with respect to the forms that they need to utilize in order for them to be compliant in the process during the goods and services. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So the first point you've highlighted is that the accounting officer did not appoint members of the inspection and acceptance committee or assign any individual for inspection of goods supplied to EPA. The second point is with respect to documentation. That is, no proper document in relation to procurement proceedings and managed records in accordance with the GPPA. So therefore, there was neglect in keeping records certain or some transactions. Is that correct?
There was
yes,
a case of
non-compliance on that part. So what is the next point?
The next point is, as I earlier said, the need to appoint a procurement officer.
Yes.
Procurement unit.
Yes.
The law requires that each institution, including council, should have a procurement unit staffed with people who are in procurement. This was absent in the case of BCC during the period under review.
The other point, if you turn to page 9, that is the last point in relation to the non-compliant practices by the accounting officer, that is the CEO of Banjul City Council, Mustafa Bachili, that he did not ensure that the procurement officer prepares a disposal plan. Can you please explain for?
Normally, yesterday I made mention of the committees, institutional structures, and I said there is always the need for a disposal committee.
Yes.
Instances, or most of the time, if we query, make reference to the need for a disposal committee, it means a disposal activity was conducted and no committee responsible for that. Because if there is no activity on disposal, there wouldn't be the need for that.
Yes.
But the fact that it is reflected in the report, it suggests that there was a kind of an activity.
Yes.
So, but there wasn't a committee, there wasn't any committee set up to oversee and conduct the disposal as per law.
Now, what are the implications of these lapses in relation to the CEO who acts as the accounting officer of council? What would be the implication of non-compliance with regulations as per the Act and the regulation PA?
Okay, I wouldn't want to go outside the report, notwithstanding the fundamental issue here is...
We will get into the report, but generally, if you have any accounting officer who fails to adhere to the laid down procedures or rules, you have told us earlier or in yesterday's sitting that one of the key as to why there are these rules and regulations is to minimize corrupt practices. Is that not correct? We have discussed this yesterday.
Yes, that's one of the objectives of the act.
Yes. So now you have implications in relation to the accounting officer or an accounting officer who failed to adhere to these laid down regulations. What would probably be the implication?
Yes, generally speaking,
yes,
if laid down rules are not followed to the latter, of course there are implications. The implication, the gravity of the implication depends on the magnitude or the gravity of the different risks. You have the high risks, the medium risks, etc. However, if principles, procedures are not followed, there is a general compromise in the processes. There is a general compromise because there are processes, and if the principles are followed, it means the processes are compromised.
Is the case when we turn to page 10, when with respect to the functions of the specialized procurement unit in the matter of Banjul City Council, wherein your compliance review highlighted key non-compliance procedures with respect to the functions of the specialized procurement unit. Do you see that?
Yes.
The first point is that the SPU, which is the special procurement unit, does not maintain proper procurement file for the procurement line with section with the relevant laws. The other point is that the SPU does not use the GPA solicitation document or the forms a means for soliciting suppliers. I will just stop at that. Can you please buttress more on the specialized procurement unit in relation to their functions and their mandate?
Yes, the procurement unit is established for a purpose, and the purpose is to conduct procurement in accordance with laid down policies, rules, etc. Failure to do that means there are violations. Let's say a good example here. There is a particular form called the 101, that's request for quotation. This was absent. This request for quotation is a form designed in such a way when you want to conduct any procurement, especially RFQ, you are expected to administer this form. In this form, you indicate all your requirements, all your evaluation criteria, all your exactly, and that's the form you use to communicate to potential suppliers. Because in procurement, it is not an ideal situation to communicate to suppliers. In the process of, you cannot communicate to them directly. You use this form to communicate your requirements and expectations. So if this form is absent, now the question is, how do you communicate to suppliers? How do you tell them your requirements? How do you tell them your terms of reference? Is it verbally or otherwise? That's one, which is very key. And if they are submitting this form, they are expected to submit this form we call a quotation box. They don't submit this form to any person individual. There must be, each institution must have a quotation box, a sealed quotation box. That's why you submit the form, because in the form you also indicate the deadline for the submission of quotations. You have to indicate the deadline for the submission of quotations. So it means in each lacking, the question is, how do you communicate to the supplier? How do you indicate your requirements? How do you indicate your expectation? How do you indicate your evaluation criteria? Because the evaluation criteria are the basis for the award of a particular procurement contract. So if it baffles imagination how the procurement was conducted.
So in effect, there is a contracts committee. When you conducted the review for 2019, just that the contract committee, that will be on page 12, just that the contract committee, in fact, were not compliant with regulation and rules as per the 18. Now, the members of the contract committee, can you please read it out before the commission? Page 12.
This was the list presented to the team.
Yes.
As members of the contracts committee. One, you have Mr. Mustafa Bachili, the CEO, who doubles as the chairman of the contracts committee. You have Yusufa Jallo, the director of admin, Mohammed Cham, the acting director of finance, Kaden Toure, the director of planning, Omar Toure, the deputy mayor, Fatou Tal, deputy CEO, Abdullah Kaur, audit manager, Pa Buba Cham, councillor, and Aida Njai, acting procurement officer.
Now, these contract committee, as per your review, you made some findings, very key findings, yes, with respect to where they failed in their obligation. Yes. There were procurements being done. The reason why I drew your attention to page 7, yes, with respect to the amount of procurement that was done in the year 2019. You know, we discussed about 266. It's not a small number. Okay. And you have, that is for single sourcing, and one with respect to restricted tendering. And then you have the contracts committee being in place, but then in most of these, we will find out that they fail to adhere to simple, basic regulation, which you have outlined on page 12 and in page 13. Do you see that? Let us discuss where or what the contract committee failed to do during your time in conducting this review.
Yes, there are issues of non-compliance, and simply for reasons that some of the basic requirements were not fulfilled. Of course, from the list here, one thing is very fundamental. It indicates that evaluation criteria.
Yes.
Any procurement, regardless of the value, regardless of the procurement method, adopted, you must have evaluation criteria, because it is the evaluation criteria that determines the responsiveness of the potential bidders, or in other words, it is the basis for the award, for your award decisions. So here we have realized that the contracts committee in their procurement transaction failed to administer or incorporate evaluation criteria in their requests, because the logic is very simple here. I told you this evaluation criteria should be embedded in that form 101. The fact that the form is not present,
yes,
automatically the order cannot be present. So this was a serious lapses on the part of the contracts committee.
What is other issue?
The other issue about planning. Yesterday we spoke about procurement planning and monthly reports.
Yes.
Because the ideal situation is any procurement must be planned for. Because failure to plan can lead you to a lot of other issues. It leads you to, let's say, unnecessary emergencies, because you don't plan. So anytime you need it, you rush. And if you rush to get things, there are possibilities that you don't do things right. And in procurement, it's better to do things the right way than to do it the fast way.
So you are saying please, Madam Chair, please proceed.
Yes, just in line with what you have just said. Based on what he is reading from the report, we have noted that just as you are explaining, 400 calendars were purchased through request for quotation at a value of 500,000. And you have made your indication that Form 101, Form 100, Form 004, all of them were not filled, and they did not also collect quotations from at least 3 suppliers. And that takes us to another major issue, which is the purchase of 2 compactors at a cost of $8 million. And none of these issues also were complied with. That is Form 002, Form 012, and the signature of the procurement officers in the minutes was not there. The minutes were not signed, and you had the cause to even write to them to ask why that was not done. And even when you wrote to them to ask why, the procurement officer and the acting director of audit, they declined to sign the minutes. And also, you requested for the specimen of their signatures because you identified some discrepancies which they refused to accede to your request, and you wrote to them. And you know, at the end of the day also there was no contract, and this $8 million was transacted. So can you explain more about these findings?
Okay, I just want to be guided as to whether this thing is part of the compliance report or part of the files we initially submitted.
I think this is request for quotation, that is RFQ, is TR BCC 1/20, and that is for the 500,000, just for 400 calendars, and the 2 compactors for 8 million, that is TR BCC 2 TR 2/20.
Okay, all transactions with that TR number, it means they are prior approvals.
They need.
Yes, any reference that has a TR, it means the procurement was a prior review procurement. In other words, it was supposed to be submitted to GPA for prior approval. And the fact that we have that TR, because we are the one that generates this reference, the TR, it means it was submitted to GPA for approval. Just as I said initially, if submissions are made and we make some observation, some anomalies, some violations, or some risk, we highlight those ones, submit it to the respective institution for them to adjust accordingly, where adjustment is possible, for them to rectify the mistake where rectification is possible, etc. If that is done, we expect a resubmission from the respective institution. So the fact that we requested explanation from BCC as regards the calendars about the signatures, failure to sign minutes, etc. I'm not sure whether there was any response from BCC, but our position is very straightforward. If we identify anomalies, violation, high risks, if those things are not addressed, we don't clear. In other words, we don't approve.
So in these circumstances, both the calendars and the compactors, you did not approve the purchases?
Because as I told you, these are there are submissions as part of the one we initially gave you. So the final communication should be able to indicate exactly whether we really approved or not.
Thank you. You can continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, we were discussing the contracts committee and where they are non-compliant in relation to the regulations and the act. Are we together? Yes. So the other issues that you have highlighted, you will find that in probably the last 2 points of page 13 under the heading non-compliance. Do you see that? One of the points is that, in fact, the committee did not ensure that it holds the procurement proceedings meetings and have minutes of the same prepared as required by the Act. And however, you said there are a few contract meetings, but these meetings were conducted in the absence of the procurement officer as well. So here you have a situation where, for the most part, there were no meetings in relation to the contract committee in the area of procurement, and where there were meetings, it was done in the absence of the procurement officer, and that you found was a concern.
Yes, this is a concern because procurement is about teamwork. We don't expect any person to individualize the procurement. That's why we have the contracts committee. And the procurement officer is very central in the composition of the contracts committee because he or she serves as the secretary to the contracts committee. The procurement officer or the head of the procurement unit is automatically, as provided for in the Act, the secretary to the contracts committee. The fact that there were no minutes, the fact that the secretary was not part of the meeting, of course, raised concern. That's why it was highlighted.
The other issue is that, that is the second to last issue, that there is no evidence that the contract committee approves the use of single source procurement, especially those above single source thresholds under the Act and the regulations. So you haven't seen approvals by the contract committee in relation to the single sourcing in your review. Please elaborate more on this.
Yes, the law requires that the contracts committee approves procurement method, but with particular reference to single source. Yesterday I said here single source is the least desired procurement method. So therefore, any attempt or any usage of the method must be, at the initial stage, approved by the contracts committee, by the accounting officer specifically.
So now you have a situation wherein there are, in most instances, there are no minutes of contracts committee meetings in relation to procurement, and another situation which, in fact, there were no approvals, because if there's no evidence of an approval, we can clearly say there are no approvals unless we were given evidence of otherwise. There are no approvals of single source procurements that were being carried out in Banjul City Council. Is that correct?
Basically, yes.
So who then approves most of these procurement, single sourcing and the single tender that you have, that you came across in your review?
Yes, like these transactions were transactions that were not submitted to GPPA for prior review. It means it was conducted at their level, and the accounting officer, by extension, the contracts committee, is expected to approve the use of single source. But our review reveals that there was no trace, there was no evidence that all these single source transactions were approved by the accounting officer or by the contracts committee.
Now, can you please turn to page 24? The issue of the disposal committee. Here you have a vehicle that was being disposed of based on expert advice. It was a Toyota Land Cruiser, and there was no disposal committee. Please tell us your findings on page 14. I beg your pardon. Functions of the disposal committee and the non-compliance findings thereto. Do you see that?
The law requires that
first tell us the situation at hand in relation to the vehicle, the Toyota Land Cruiser that was being disposed of, what the requirements are, and whether it was followed or not.
Sorry, whether it was?
Please tell us the situation at hand in relation to, I've just given you a hint that you have a Toyota Land Cruiser that was being disposed of. Do you see that? At Banjul City Council. And there was a need, of course, to have a disposal committee for the purpose of disposing this vehicle in accordance with the Act. That is a GPPA Act and regulation. But then there was none. It was just disposed of like that. Please tell us what your findings were in relation to this vehicle that was being disposed of.
Disposal is an activity, it's a procurement activity. If there is a need for disposal and the disposal is justified, the accounting officer is expected to set up a board of survey. In fact, it is this board of survey that identify all items that are fit for disposal. After that identification, then a disposal committee is set up. The disposal committee look into the issues of the vehicle, issues of information asymmetry, issues of disposal methods, etc., etc. But here it means the critical committee, that's the disposal committee, that is responsible for this thing, was not set up, one. Secondly, it was expected to be submitted to GPPA for prior approval. That submission was also not done. So it means if we had not gone for this post-review, there wasn't going to be any discovery of what has actually occurred.
Now, do you know how it was disposed of, the vehicle in question? Or your findings just revealed that it did not comply with the regulations and the laws?
The records presented to the team of reviewers did not indicate the disposal method adopted.
Now, please turn to page 18. At page 18, you have a table which shows some procurement activities conducted using single source without prior approval from the authority. I want to presume that this authority is in relation to the contracts committee. Do you see that?
We have two tables.
The page below, the table below.
Okay, okay.
We have already dealt with the table.
This initial one.
Yes.
Okay.
Before you proceed, Mr. Tamura, this vehicle in question, who was the owner of the vehicle and who was it sold to at the BCC?
Yeah, that's what I have just mentioned here. There was no indication of ownership. There was no document as to the disposal method.
May I guide you? Just make in answering the question of the Honorable Chair, you can make reference to page 14. I guided you on page 14 with respect to the history of the vehicle.
Yes, that's it.
Please check page 14.
Okay, okay.
You will see on the first paragraph where it states that the vehicle was bought for the mayor 8 years ago. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so probably that may guide you in answering the question of
Okay.
the Honorable Chairperson.
All right. Notwithstanding, the actual disposal method was not indicated.
Yes.
They only indicated their wish, and the wish was to dispose it to the staff. The specific staff was not mentioned here, but however, it is also part of the provisions of the procurement law that there are circumstances when vehicles can be disposed to staff, especially the custodian of the vehicle. Preference can be given to him or her.
That is provided for in the Act.
Yes.
Thank you.
Under the disposal section.
Now, let's discuss the table on page 18, and then we will just stop there for the first break. At page 18, you will see that you have provided, or you have outlined a table wherein you have discussed the procurement conducted using single source without prior approval from the authority. Do you see that? Now, number one on the table is QuickBooks accounting software, and the amount was $266,000. Do you see that? Is that correct? The second is cost of sewing uniforms. The supplier was one Mansata Danso, and the amount involved is $40,800. The third one is restructuring of the BCC UXL group. There's a supplier. The amount is $82,500. Is that correct? You have air tickets to Nairobi. The supplier is Cinderella Travels. The amount is $190,000. Do you see that? And berets. I think berets would be probably military or security berets. Am I right? The supplier is one Malik Mendy. The amount is $41,112, 50 bututs. And then number 7, tires. The supplier is Zidane Karan at the tune of $26,000. Also, there was a hiring of a bulldozer. The supplier was AM Trading. The amount is $150,000. Number 9, service wire from Batimat, $41,130. And antivirus, number 10, with Microtech, the supplier, at the tune of $75,650. Is that correct?
Yes.
Number 11, brackets The supply is Demba's Trading, $50,000. Spare parts, the suppliers are Adama Sise Spare Parts, 45,050 bututs. Air tickets from Cinderella, $65,465. Air tickets, again, business class from Cinderella, $221,000. Cost of metal doors at the Albert Market, the supply is Demba Cham, $117,750. HR payroll system, Ruby Jara, $117,500. Cleansing materials, Keba and Sons, $67,850. Stationery, A4 size papers, in bracket, Keba and Sons, $40,000. Cement at Fatajos Enterprise, $42,480. Engine oil, Ahmed Badan Enterprise, $30,500. Fluorescent tubes, MP Trading, $63,750,000. Now, this table that you have provided, with respect to, you have indicated that this procurement single sourcing activity was not backed by approval of any kind.
Yes.
Can you please explain to the commissioners what your findings were in relation to these single sourcing activities that I've read before the commission?
Thank you, Council. Like the list that you have just mentioned here, our review indicates that they were all conducted by the use of single source.
They were
all conducted by the use of single source.
Yes.
And if you look at the amount involved, all the amount substantially exceeds the threshold for single source.
Please remind us what the threshold of single source is.
The threshold for single source for goods and services is 20,000 and below.
And you have, in this situation, I'm not trying to cut you short, I'm just trying to make sure we understand in the most simple terms.
Yeah.
And from the list I've read, you have seen probably the least amount is $26,000.
Yes.
But it has gone all the way to even, say,
some
$382,000. So all used via single source. So please proceed.
Yes, as I said, looking at the amount involved, all the amounts substantially exceed the threshold for single source. And the law requires that in the event of your intention to conduct a procurement by way of single source, if the amount involved is above the threshold for single source, you need prior approval from the authority, that's GPPA. Here, the fact that there was no prior approval, they did not seek prior approval, we did not give prior approval, this was the concern. If you look at the amount involved, most of the transactions were supposed to be RFQ, request for quotation. It means you were supposed to give competition a chance. You are supposed to collect at least 3 quotations. You are supposed to collect at least 3 quotations so that there is a kind of a competition. So
you are saying that most of these transactions should have been done under the procurement method, which you refer to as request for quotation,
yes,
where you have a minimum of
3 independent quotations.
3 independent quotations.
Yes.
Very well. But then that was not the case here.
That was not the case. So it means one of the fundamental principles of procurement was compromise. That is competition. That's one of the fundamental principles of procurement, competition. It means it was compromise. Now, single sourcing, of course, has its attendant implications, of course, because it's just like direct contracting, going to an individual, buying direct. So there is no assurance that the prices involved are within the market range. There is no evidence that it's not within the market range.
What do you mean when you say there is no assurance that the prices involved are within the market range?
Yeah. What I'm saying, single source as a procurement method is the least desired.
Yes.
That's why in most jurisdictions.
Why is it the least desired?
Because it has fundamentally violated a fundamental principle of procurement, that's competition.
Fundamental?
It has violated a fundamental principle of procurement.
Yes.
That is competition.
Yes.
Because these things we are subjected to, they are supposed to be competed for, looking at the amount involved. But failure to subject this procurement to competition is a violation.
Yes.
However, the fact that it is single source, I said there is no assurance. There is no assurance before the teams of reviewers that the amount involved are within the market range.
Are you saying, in short or in summary, that the amount involved in the purchasing of some of these items or goods probably cannot be ascertained? Maybe it is been overpriced or so on and so forth. So basically, you cannot tell whether, in fact, a tire that probably is said to have been bought for $2,000 is in fact whether in fact that is the actual value. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said there is no assurance.
Yeah, I just want you to explain it in a simple term so that people that are listening will understand what you mean.
Here basically it means we cannot say for sure that the amount involved in this single source transaction are within the market price.
There's a possibility of overpricing.
Of course, it's possible.
Is that a possibility in this situation? A possibility of overpricing a certain goods or certain items that have been purchased?
In any single source transaction, the possibility of overpricing exists.
So it exists in these ones?
I'm not sure whether it exists in this one.
No, the possibility exists.
Yeah, the possibility exists in every single source transaction.
Yes. So now we will just finish with the first point, and we probably will inform the commissioners with respect to the break. Not only did you outline that there were no prior approvals and so on and so forth, but you've also mentioned that there was no justification for the use of single source. You will see that on the first point,
yes,
on page 19.
Yes.
Just right under the table.
Yes. Yes. Most of the institutions, regardless of the procurement method they adopt, let's say single source in this case, they may try to justify it in one way or the other. But the justification that is acceptable was not presented. There was no evidence that their justification satisfied the conditions for the use of single source.
So as far as you are concerned, what I mean you is your office in relation to conducting this review is concerned that the single source method that was used in the purchase or in this activity was not in fact the best in the situation, because there was no reason as to why they should use single sourcing.
Yeah, basically,
there is no convincing reason.
Yeah, basically, their justification for the use of single source for all these unlisted items, we are not backed by law.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. I am aware that it's time for our first break. I apologize for taking much of the time. We may stop here for now.
Thank you, Council. I think it's a convenient point to stop, given the fact that the proceedings is long enough for the transcribers. We will take a break and come back after 1 hour, 20 minutes.
As the Commission places.
Yes. Thank you. We may rise.